Picture a cat sitting in the corner of a sunlit room, food bowl full, water fresh, no visible injury. By every metric we use to assess feline health, weight, coat, vital signs, this animal is fine. But it hasn't moved in 3 hours. It's not sleeping. Its eyes are open. It's staring at a wall with the kind of stillness that doesn't feel restful. It feels absent, like the hardware is running, but the operating system has quietly gone offline. This is what we call in our behavioral practice the silent shutdown. And the tragedy is that most owners see this and think, that's just a cat being a cat. It isn't. What we're looking at is a neurological and metabolic state of suppression, not sadness in the way a human might cry or withdraw, but something closer to a full system dimming. The cat isn't sad. The cat has stopped processing the world as worth engaging with. And if we don't know the clinical signs, we'll miss it entirely, because this animal was designed by millions of years of evolution to make sure we do. We're going to walk through the 7 signs of feline depression that we track in our behavioral assessments. Not vague observations, clinical markers, backed by updated 2026 veterinary behavioral research. And at the end, we'll talk about what actually helps, because the answer is not simply play more. First sign, the absence of anticipatory behavior. Healthy cats demonstrate what behaviorists call appetitive engagement, a mild but visible excitement before a stimulus arrives, the flick of the tail when they hear the food container shake, the slow repositioning toward a window when birds appear, the sudden alertness at the sound of a toy. When a cat enters a depressive state, this anticipatory response is one of the first things to go. Clinically, this is classified as anhedonia, the inability to anticipate or experience reward. It's not that the cat doesn't eat, it may eat mechanically, but the wanting disappears before the getting. In our practice, we ask owners one simple question: does your cat still expect things? If the answer is increasingly no, if the food lands in the bowl without so much as a tail movement, if the favorite toy gets walked past without a glance, that's not contentment, that's anhedonic suppression, and it's a neurological flag. The second sign is spatial collapse. A healthy cat's territorial behavior involves what we call spatial confidence, the tendency to occupy multiple zones of the home at different times of day, to patrol, to claim spots, to investigate changes in the environment. Depressed cats retreat, not just to one room, to one corner of one room, and they stay there. This is textbook learned helplessness. When a cat repeatedly experiences environmental stressors it cannot influence, a change in household, the loss of a companion animal, chronic unpredictability, the brain begins to model all future environments as uncontrollable. The result isn't aggression or vocalization, it's withdrawal. It stops trying to engage with the world because neurologically it has concluded the world doesn't respond. What makes this particularly insidious is that it looks like a cat being comfortable and settled. You have to know what settled actually looks like to tell the difference. This is the sign we want you to look most closely at, and it's the one that requires you to understand what grooming actually is for a cat. Self-grooming in cats is not just hygiene, it's a neurochemical ritual. The repetitive motion of grooming triggers mild dopamine release and serves as a self-soothing mechanism. When we see a cat grooming regularly and methodically, we're watching an animal whose reward circuitry is functioning. When dopamine pathways begin to suppress, which is precisely what happens in clinically depressed cats, grooming is one of the first casualties. What you'll observe is called the rough coat phenomenon. The fur loses its natural layered alignment. It starts to look dull, slightly static, unevenly distributed. Not matted, not patchy, but somehow off, like the cat has been carried wrong. That's because it hasn't been groomed from root to tip in days. The oils aren't being distributed. The fur isn't being organized. But here's the dimension that almost no owners consider: allo-grooming. Mutual grooming between bonded cats, or even between cats and trusted humans. A cat that previously groomed its companion animal or rubbed its face against your hand is performing social bonding through tactile ritual. When allogrooming stops, that's a relational withdrawal that mirrors what we see in depressive disorders across mammalian species. The rough coat is a physical record of a dopamine deficit. Read it that way. Before we continue with the remaining signs, we need to address why this is so difficult to catch, because it's not accidental, it's architectural. The domestic cat descends from a lineage of solitary, mid-sized predators. Unlike herd animals that signal distress to trigger a group response, wild cats operated in an evolutionary context where showing weakness had exactly one consequence: becoming prey. The cat that limped visibly didn't survive. The cat that hid its pain, maintained its posture, continued its surface-level behavioral routines. That cat lived. That survival logic is still coded into your domestic cat's nervous system at a very deep level. When your cat is in pain, physical or psychological, its default biological response is suppression and concealment. It will continue eating, continue using the litter box, continue appearing in the living room at normal times. The depression will be visible only in the texture of behavior, the micro changes in posture, the quality of attention, the subtle loss of initiative. This is not a cat being stoic. This is a cat doing exactly what its ancestors' nervous systems were selected to do. It is, in a very real sense, the cat protecting itself from you. Not because it doesn't trust you, but because trust is a concept its evolutionary wiring never fully integrated into self-disclosure. Understanding this is the foundation of every assessment we do. If you're waiting for your cat to show you it's depressed, you will wait too long. Altered sleep architecture. Cats sleep between 12 and 16 hours a day. That's known. What's less known is that the quality and distribution of that sleep changes significantly in depressed cats. A healthy cat cycles through sleep positions, locations, and depths throughout the day. Brief micro-sleeps, longer rest phases, light dozing in sunlit spots. A depressed cat often displays hypersomnia with postural rigidity. Extended, statue-like sleep in a single position, in a single location, that doesn't refresh into activity. They wake, look around, and lie back down. The sleep isn't restorative, it's avoidant.